It's time for Justice for the People with Pastor Charles Bennett. Justice for the People, exploring issues involving corruption and injustices in the Tri-Cities. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and Pastor Bennett, and not necessarily those of the moderator, management, staff, or advertisers of WHAP. Here now is Pastor Charles Bennett and Justice for the People.
Hey folks, we're back on the air. I'm with David, my guest. He's the husband of a wonderful school teacher over here in elementary school in Hopewell, Virginia. And it was such a great thing meeting you, David. And you know, I didn't prompt you. I didn't set you up to be against people writing ludicrous tickets.
Oh,
did I?
no. And trust me, my father-in-law was a police officer for 25 years.
We don't mind people. Listen, I don't mind if the state troopers write all they want to, but the state police never makes me offended. When they write me a ticket close to Richmond, I don't get mad at Richmond. When they write me a ticket on the interstate close to Petersburg or whatever, see how it works? We believe that Chad Parker is not even certified to run radar in any other police department here in the South. And the point is that here we have Chad Parker, who would not even be certified to run radar for the city of Hopewell, because in Hopewell they have to go back to and be recertified, have 4 hours or something ever so often. Plus, we don't even have verification that the radar has been recalibrated as according to the law. It has to be recalibrated every so many months. And we don't have any of that, and we can't find that because Judge Campbell won't even let us talk about that. You know why? Because we're not attorneys. Now, I tell you this, according to the law, it's supposed to be equal justice under the law. But that's not true. It's only equal justice under the law, just like I told Channel 6 News earlier today. It's only equal justice under the law for those that have $20,000.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, David? I mean, does that sound ludicrous to you?
That's absolutely ludicrous.
If an attorney went in with you and you went down to Augusta the first time, they would continue the case if the officer didn't show up, making you have to come all the way back from Virginia again.
Right.
So you go the second time. The second time, if the law enforcement officer did not show up, they would throw the case out. In Emmanuel's case, 3 times he didn't show up. 3 times Chad Parker, and the third time he didn't show up, they made an excuse which we believe to be a lie, but we can't verify it because we're not the judge. Do you think Judge Campbell is interested in knowing if Chad Parker lied to the court? Do you think he's interested to know if, let's say Chad Parker never said he was subpoenaed to a federal court. Let's say the Commonwealth Attorney made that up. If the Commonwealth Attorney made that up, he needs to go to jail for lying to the court. Do you think we could ever find out if the Commonwealth Attorney lied to the court? We're going to, because the FBI is going to look into it. Now, when the FBI looks into it, if they find out that the Commonwealth Attorney lied, he's going to jail. All right? If we find out that Chad Parker lied, he's going to be fired. I mean, you can't have it both ways. Somebody lied and said they went to federal, they were subpoenaed to federal court. They didn't say they wanted to go up, they shucked and jived, and they wanted to go up there, but they said it in the transcript. And David, just to let people know that I'm not lying, and let the Channel 6 here know that I'm not lying about this, here is the actual transcript by the court. And my question is, I would like for you, David, to read this part of this transcript right here. This is the original, see the original transcript.
Right, I see that.
Okay, where this case was continued. And it says, okay, read this first part here. Mr. Sylvester says what?
All right, Mr. Sylvester, Your Honor, this matter is set for trial today. I want to let the court know that the officer involved is under federal subpoena in federal court. I do not know when he's going to be available today, and we can move to continue it now, or we can wait until later.
Okay, read the next one.
Again, I don't know. The federal subpoena obviously takes precedence over state subpoena, so I'm giving Mr. Artis the election to wait until we get somewhere down the road, and we may or may not have the office available. or we can move to continue it now to avoid any further inconvenience. And defendant artist says, I'd rather ask for the case to just be dismissed. I've been coming here.
And then they go on. They go on, David, to say, well, we can just wait and see if the officer gets out of his subpoena in time to come back to court. Now the judge, we write a letter to the judge, and this really discouraging. Where's the other part of this? Where's the letter we wrote to the judge? Find that real quick. We write this letter to the judge. Notice the letter we wrote to the judge. Now, but while you're finding that, Emmanuel, we went up to the federal court. First of all, we went to his employment, and they said he's on vacation. He hadn't been in yesterday, and he wasn't in today. He wasn't subpoenaed. He was on vacation. So here we have all the court cases. Do you see where we went up there to the federal court? Do you see these court cases that are here?
Right.
That were for March the 18th?
Right.
Okay. Read that letter that was, now this is date stamped. This actually went to the court, and then we'll read you the judge's response from it.
Right. Okay. It says, Dear Judge Campbell, I have a real problem concerning my case. I took the enclosed form into the Commonwealth Attorney's office and requested that they take a copy of it and date stamp my copy so I'd have proof that I delivered a copy of this form to them at his office. They refused to accept a copy and refused to date stamp my copy. I am a citizen who has been to court on this case over 3 times, and the officer has refused to show up each time in the circuit court. I have no one to help me regarding legal matters, and all I am asking is proof that the Sheriff Deputy Chad Parker gave the Commonwealth Attorney proof that he in fact had a subpoena to appear in federal court on the morning of my trial date, March 18, 2009. Why is it asking too much to have the Commonwealth Attorney fill out this form with the requested information so I can verify the information with the federal court? If in fact the officer was only on vacation, as I have been told by his captain over at Defense General Supply, I want my case dismissed immediately and charges brought against the appropriate person. If this request is not acceptable, even though I am operating pro se concerning my case, please advise me as soon as possible so I can get a proper form to request this information. If this is acceptable, please advise the Commonwealth Attorney to fill out this form immediately and notify me as to when I can pick it up. Signed and date stamp March 26th.
And this was the form that he wanted. Emmanuel, it's signed by Emmanuel. This is what he said he wanted to have done. The form at the bottom would authorize what court that he was subpoenaed to.
All right.
But they refused to give us that, and instead, here's Judge Campbell's response.
All right. Emmanuel, artist defendant. This day came the attorney for the Commonwealth and the defendant for trial. The Commonwealth is represented by Anthony Sylvester. Thereupon, the attorney for the Commonwealth made a motion to continue these matters for good cause shown. Material witness unavailable, and over the objection of the defendant. The court doth grant the motion, and these matters are continued to April 22nd, 2009 at 9 a.m. for trial.
So he just blew us off. Now, the sad fact is that Riley Ingram, our state delegate here in Hopewell, had the whole law changed so that Chad Parker, oh no, not so Chad Parker, so that David Silvestro could be given a car that was blue, because what they did is they actually painted the car blue, like the state trooper, made it look as much like a state trooper charger as they could. Now they did that without reading the law, obviously, and then instead of changing it back to white or brown, they had the delegate Riley Ingram here in Hopewell change the law, circumventing the very reason that the law was written in the first place. It says in the law that the uniforms must be brown if you're with a local department, so that it would be no misrepresentation. It would be obvious to the people. Where's that page again, Emmanuel? The law about the color of the vehicles and all that. Okay. All uniforms used by sheriffs and their deputies and police officers under the direct control of a sheriff while in performance of duties shall easily identify local law enforcement officers to members of the public, to be designed and style approved by the sheriff of the locality, to be worn according to the policies established by the sheriff of that locality. Now, they want it to be so that the local officers look different from the state police. And the same thing was in reference to their automobiles, but Riley Ingram, in his ignorance and in his good old buddy system here at Hopewell, they changed the law just for one car. Now every locality can paint their police cars to look like state police. I'm going to get David's comments on what he thinks